Today we're going to do a quick walkthrough of the M45 Monterey. I want to show a few things on here. Back behind here where the trash can is, that is where your breaker panel for the things in the bilge area and your battery switch is going to be located at. You do have some jump points there. You can see the black and red. If you do run the battery down, that's a jump point, so you can raise this engine hatch up and be able to get in here to where the batteries are here. I want to show you a few things while we've got this engine hatch opened. Since this is an outboard model, the engine hatch gives you all kinds of storage. But something I want to point out, if you look back there, there's a pin hanging down. That is actually for your ski tow. You will need to open the hatch up when you put the ski tow down to put that pin through the ski tow to make sure that everything is secure. Like I said, it's going to be a quick run through of this. We've got a few other videos that we're going to run through, but I'm going to move to the dash, so be with you in just a second. We're moving to the dash. I'm going to go over the switches on the dash here. The first one is actually this engine hatch. We're going to run that down. As you can see the engine hatch, this switch actually is the one that brings that down. Run the engine hatch down. The next switch that you're looking at is going to be your nav lights. Nav lights forward is going to be running. That's going to be your front lights and your stern light back here. Middle is going to be off. Back is just the anchor light. We do have a couple accessory switches here. As you move across, have the bilge pump. You have a manual and you do have an automatic, so that is wired directly to the battery with this float switch back there. If you have some water in the bilge and you want to get it out and it's not enough for the float switch, you can kick that on. Next switch as we move right is going to be your horn. Jumping over to the other side here, the cockpit lights. That's going to be the lights. You can see one of them down there, another one there. It's also your engine compartment lights as well. Next one's your docking lights. Those are actually for when you're coming into the dock. You can't run down the lake with those. Next one's a water system. That's going to be for the pump for the water. Speaker lights is the next switch. Then we have another accessory switch. I'm going to turn the key on so we can see the gauges and everything on the dash. You will hear that beep anytime that you turn your key on for the motor. You'll hear that beep come on. The only other time you'll hear that when you're going down the lake is if you have high temp or low oil pressure. If that's beeping at you, it's letting you know that something's wrong. We're going to scroll through the dash here. We've got engine hours is first thing up. Water temperature, air temperature, depth, trim position, fuel level and rate, your volts, water pressure, and that's going to be the water PSI that's going to your motor, and the engine temp. The next one is your oil pressure, vessel speed, your tack, and then back to the engine hours. Now you still have gauges for this. You have the RPM dial, and you also have the speedometer here on a dial as well, and you have gauges over here for these. That's just your SmartCraft gauges that are letting you know everything that's going on in a digital format. You still have the analog dial type gauges to be able to work. Next thing we're looking at is going to be your depth finder. Now on these depth finders, they're 2-button. There isn't a mode switch or a menu switch, so you will push the 2 buttons to be able to set your shallow and deep alarm on those. Moving down, we've got a few switches here. That is going to be for your 3.5 millimeter on the stereo auxiliary. Then you've got a 12 volt, and the USB. Moving across to the stereo. Take it a second to power up here. You do have different zones. On these stereos, I do recommend looking at the manual because there's so many different things that they can do. With these Fusion stereos, you can turn the remotes on and off. You can set different zones as you put more speakers on and off the boat. Alright, looking at the stereo here, if you push this button, that's going to be the one that's going to take you through your sources. Auxiliary 1 and 2 are going to be, one will be the 3.5 millimeter jack, the other one will be the USB. Then you also have, you get down here to the Bluetooth, you just hit the Bluetooth and pair it up to your phone. Here are the different zones, and like I said, you can go through and set a bunch of this stuff. I just recommend looking at the manual because it is pretty in-depth on the stereo. Hope this video has helped out with the layout of the dash, the battery switch, the things in the engine compartment. If you have any questions, you can definitely get with any one of us here. Have a great day.